able to monitor all of the inputs of the car. You know, one of the things that I think is great about our sport and the sport of NASCAR is we're still relatively limited on how much data we can gather at the racetrack on a race weekend. So when you have a test like this and you're able to gather aerodynamic data, suspension data, tire data, you know, all these different things, it gives you a lot bigger picture of kind of what the whole broader picture is. It makes you realize how loud they are too, but you know, it gives you a better picture of kind of how broad and how detailed these cars have gotten. I mean, I remember 15 or so years ago when I was here in the past and racing, you know, if you got the car within, you know, an eighth or a quarter of an inch, you felt like that was really, really good. Now you're down to the hundreds of thousands of the details of how intricate the suspension has to be and how much of a variance you have in travels and things like that. It's truly incredible. It's truly incredible to see kind of where our sport has gone and how finite we've gone to without really having the data that you know, a Formula One or even really an IndyCar or road race type situation would be. So it's pretty incredible.
So talk about the track itself, because turns 1 and 2 are tighter than 3 and 4. How does that affect your testing? How does that affect the driver during the cup race?
Well, it's going to be super important. You know, both ends being so different, you're never ever going to be perfect at either end here, right? You're always fighting the balance of how much is enough and how much is too much, right? So to be really good in 1 and 2, you're going to be really bad in 3 and 4, and vice versa. So for us here today, you know, obviously you're trying to learn, like, okay, what makes that corner down there in turn 1 and 2 so much different than 3 and 4? And obviously the radius, right? It's about half the radius or 2/3 the radius of turn 3 and 4. But there's a lot of other things that go into it. You're carrying a lot more speed down the front straightaway because of the wider turn 4. So your corner entry into turn 1 is obviously a lot faster than turn 3. But then you get, you know, the banking is a lot steeper in 1 and 2. It's a lot flatter in 3 and 4. So there's all these little intricacies about this racetrack that make it kind of what it is. And that's what a great test day like today here is. I mean, obviously the Truck Series has been here for a number of years, right? And they were able to come back. And I remember when we were here on the Xfinity side years ago that, you know, over time you build a notebook. These Cup Series cars, especially with the next gen, there is no notebook, so they're kind of shooting in the dark when we get back in a race.
Drivers who have been here before and drivers who have won here before, like Chastain, Kevin Harvick, are they going to have any kind of an advantage, or does the new car equalize everything?
Well, I think the new car is definitely going to equalize a few things, but I do believe that somebody that's had some experience here is going to have a pretty big advantage, right? The very first lap I drove on the racetrack was within about a half a second of our fastest lap throughout the course the whole day, and it was the same references that I used 15 years ago when we first started coming here. So, you know, having that knowledge and where to go to and what the limits are, I think that's going to be super important when they get here to race. So I'm excited for the Cup Series to get here and to make this work, because I think it's really going to truly be a lot of fun.
How much is the excitement for St. Louis to get a cup race? As you mentioned, you've always had trucks here, Xfinity, but you feel like when a town gets their first cup race, it kind of transforms cities into even more racing communities?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously the Cup Series holds a lot of weight, right? Even compared to the Xfinity Series side or the Truck Series side, the Cup Series is the top level, right? So it carries a lot of weight. You know, this community, their surrounding area in this region, obviously have a lot of support for racing as a whole, whether that be drag racing or oval racing, IndyCars, NASCAR, whatever it be. So I'm excited from that standpoint, because I really believe that we're gonna strengthen the racing community in this area to really be a part of this NASCAR, to be a part of the NASCAR community, and I believe, you know, I really believe that this could be a staple in the NASCAR schedule for many years to come. You know, obviously there's a lot of things that have to happen and work out perfectly the way that they need to work out for this to really be what we see the potential as being. But on the other side, I think this is going to be a great racetrack for the sport, and I think our fans are going to really support it, and I'm excited for that. You know, that the work and effort has been put in to get to this point, and it's definitely been noticed, and obviously they got a Cup Series race out of it, so I think that's a big deal.
Drivers like being doing the testing. I mean, is this kind of like just something that has to be done?
You know,
Any enjoyment out of it?
it's very unique because some drivers really enjoy testing. Some despise it at all costs, right? There's a lot of repetitive and a lot of going through the motions in a situation like we're in here today. But for me, one of the things that I really enjoy about it is that we're doing something for the betterment of all the Chevrolet teams. Or really, from that standpoint, you know, all three cars here are doing something for the betterment of, you know, all of the teams that participate with those manufacturers. And so, you know, for me personally, when I see a Chevrolet run good on a Sunday, I get a sense of enjoyment out of that, you know. So my enjoyment may be a little bit delayed versus right here, right now, making laps. But the other part of it too, you know, this new next gen Cup car has actually been a lot of fun. It's very different. It's a huge departure from anything that we've ever had on the NASCAR side of things. Independent rear suspension, sequential gearbox, you know, all these things that we've talked about for years, and just, you know, we ended up here, right? So I'm excited about it, and getting to drive this car has always been a lot of fun. And I know that anytime you can get extra laps at the racetrack, whether you race there or not, for me has always been important to just get those reps, right? No different than going and throwing a baseball or throwing a football. You're getting those reps for me has always been a big deal. So this is my way of warming up, if you will.